Good afternoon, everyone. Today is an incredibly difficult day. It is with profound sadness that I can confirm that we have found the body of a small child, which we believe to be Parker. For nearly 2 weeks, so many people woke up hoping it would be the day Parker came home. Instead, we are here sharing news that it is heartbreaking for his family and for everyone who has been carrying that hope. Our thoughts are with Parker's family, loved ones, friends, and everyone who has been affected by this tragedy. On Tuesday, we received information from a member of the public who located evidence consistent with the clothing Parker was last known to be wearing. Search teams were deployed, and as a result of those efforts, the body of a small child has been located. It is believed Parker entered into a deep culvert on the west side of Deerfoot Trail, where he travelled into a network of pipes that crossed under Deerfoot Trail. His body was found in a small pipe on the east side of Deerfoot Trail. The Calgary Fire Department required specialised equipment to enter the tunnel system as the conditions were extremely unsafe. It's believed Parker was wearing all of the clothing he was last seen wearing when he entered the tunnel system. However, his shoes likely came off at some point and washed out of the culvert at a later time. The terrain is challenging and forms part of a water environment. As with any search involving water, environmental conditions can affect what can be observed and when evidence may become visible. While exhaustive efforts were made throughout this investigation, it is not always possible to completely eliminate every possibility within a large search area. Just a few days ago, I spoke about seeing the very best of our city. That remains true today. As I said earlier this week, in my 35 years with the Calgary Police Service, I have never seen such dedicated, extensive, and sustained search efforts. Searchers, volunteers, police officers, and partner agencies committed themselves to finding Parker and bringing him home safely. Many of the people involved in this search formed a connection to Parker despite never meeting him. People from across Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and around the world shared Parker's information, searched for him, and held on to hope for his safe return. I want to acknowledge the efforts of our members, partner agencies, and search volunteers. Since Parker was reported missing, they worked around the clock under challenging conditions, covering vast areas of terrain, following up on thousands of pieces of information, reviewing extensive digital evidence, and pursuing every avenue available to us. Today's outcome is deeply felt by those who spent countless hours looking for him. Like everyone else, we hoped for a different outcome. Throughout this investigation, Parker's family has demonstrated extraordinary strength and courage while enduring every parent's worst nightmare. On behalf of the Calgary Police Service, I want them to know they have been at the centre of every decision we have made. We remain grateful for the trust they place in us during such an incredibly difficult time. Today we grieve alongside them and share in the profound sadness of this loss. While today's news brings an end to the search for Parker, our responsibility to his family does not end here. We remain committed to understanding as much as we can about what occurred and providing those answers to his family wherever possible. We understand people will have questions, and we are committed to providing as much information as we can while respecting the integrity of the investigation and the privacy of those affected. Behind every search map, every briefing, every tip, and every hour spent looking was a little boy who was deeply loved by his family. Parker's family is asking for privacy as they navigate this profound loss, and we respectfully ask that request to be honoured. Before I conclude, I want to thank the thousands of people who stood with Parker and his family over the past 13 days. People from across our city and around the world searched, shared information, checked their properties, put up posters, followed updates, and held on to hope for Parker's safe return. The compassion shown throughout this investigation has been extraordinary, and I know it has meant a great deal to Parker's family. While today is not the outcome anyone wanted, I hope Parker's family takes some comfort in knowing they were not alone. So many people cared deeply about their son and wanted to help bring him home. For that, we are sincerely grateful.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm just going to say I want to address this in tomorrow's live stream because right now I can't. I only came across this about 20 minutes ago. So if I talk about Parker, then it's going to be a very short live stream because I'm not going to hold it together. So welcome in, everyone. Big, huge welcome in to Camilla, since I can't see you. I'm not going to name everyone right now because I'm late and lots of people have come in, and but just a welcome in to everyone. I do have a bit of a tribute for Parker at the end of the live stream, but in terms of addressing this on a live stream, I want to wait till tomorrow's live stream just to give myself a bit of processing time, just to be able to do it without completely having a meltdown. So let's talk about Neil. And I know this possibly seems a bit callous going straight from Parker and moving on, but hopefully you understand. Neil's racked up a $31,000 bill from his recent stay. So he's still around somewhere apparently, but people have been asked not to say where he is. But he's in a different spot, and I can't read the bottom of that. But apparently, according to the Clarence City Council, it has cost more than $31,500, with most of the bill being tied to staffing for crowd and traffic control. The repairs have cost nearly $1,300, but the rest has been crowd control and traffic control. So no wonder they don't want people to know where his current location is. Thankfully, it sounds like he's further down the peninsula, so further away from the crowds. But I thought that would just be a slightly different way to look at things. Okay, just a sec. Sorry. Now, on that note, I wasn't sure about playing these, but I'll play them now anyway because it's still, I think there needs to be a point made, because when I saw this and when I saw people's comments underneath, I saw red. So start with this one.
That were at Kinder in Fitzroy North, and then they've got through a fence and off they go.
Wow.
They've gone more than a kilometre through the streets, crossing busy St George's Road, which of course has so much traffic, and trams. Got across there. Obviously no carer with them, no one from the kindergarten, no parents.
You see that woman quite shocked by what she's saying.
You can see her shocked. If you watch it a bit further, she actually says to that person going past, "Are they your kids? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "They're not my kids. I don't know what you're talking about." So confusion reigned. Eventually they've gone to one of those children's houses more than a kilometre away from the kinder, which still hadn't raised the alarm at that point. So big questions being asked about what was happening at that kinder on Monday. Jack Ward will join us live from the scene at 6. Has been launched into a Fitzroy North kindergarten after two young children escaped through a fence and went on an adventure for more than a kilometre.
The 4- and 5-year-olds crossed busy roads, navigated trams and traffic before making it all the way to one of their homes. Jack Ward has our exclusive report.
Two unsupervised kids skipping down busy St George's Road. The pair just 4 and 5 years old.
It is scary as a parent in terms of how the kids were found and discovered for however long they were going for.
Adults were bewildered by what they were witnessing on Monday morning just after 11 o'clock. The young boy and girl all by themselves after escaping through a playground fence at Isabel Henderson Kindergarten, sparking a frantic search.
A lady came up to us and she asked us if we've seen two kids walking around the area. We were really confused. I said, do you want us to help you? Yeah, not sure.
A Good Samaritan called police after spotting the children, who eventually arrived at one of their homes more than a kilometre away. They reportedly watched K-pop demon hunters, while a confused parent rang the kinder.
I just shudder to think how these parents felt, but I shudder to think how other parents in the centre are feeling, sending their children there today and tomorrow and the day after.
The kindergarten has told The Age this is really devastating for the families involved and for us. We are a very transparent and open organisation, and we take these things very seriously. The organisation was less transparent today, refusing to speak about the incident with 9 News. The regulator is now investigating how these young children managed to get through this fence and say they won't hesitate in taking strong action to ensure child safety.
It breaches yet again the expectation that adults, parents, are entrusting their children to other adults to keep them safe, care for them.
An adventure for these two, a terrifying breach of safety for everyone else.
OK, we'll go live now to Jack, who's in Fitzroy.
I don't need to do the rest of that. I mean, there's that little amusing side of it that these kids were totally oblivious and they were sitting down watching K-pop. But after 2 weeks of praying for Parker, we see this on the news here in one of the, St Kilda is one of the busiest places in Melbourne. We're talking mega city area, lots of traffic, lots of trams. You can't just stop a tram if a 4-year-old runs in front of that tram. One of my brother's friends is a tram driver, and it's par for the course for tram drivers that there's probably a good chance that at least once a year you're going to run into a car because you can't stop suddenly. I mean, St Kilda would be pretty much as busy as Sydney these days. It's one of the sort of real bougie areas now. Everyone goes to St Kilda. It's one of the central, really popular places in Melbourne. And yeah, it probably does. If it being St Kilda, well, I don't know. It's St Kilda's a bit of a mix these days. It used to be kind of like your hippie culture, your cheap rentals. A lot of people lived there because you could get a cheap rental there. It was the old style early buildings and stuff. It was a sort of place where I can remember way back, my brother rented a place in St Kilda. It was one of those little 2-story places, and his bedroom was upstairs with no cooling. You go up the stairs and there are those steep stairs that you think you're going to fall back down. And in summer, you would nearly die from the heat. But it's also now becoming a very popular kind of, it's got all the cafes, it's got all the places to go for coffee. So now you've got all that new kind of bougie kind of culture coming in. Yeah, like a terrace house. There's a lot of them down in Melbourne. And St Kilda is one of the oldest areas, so it's got a lot of those really old houses that used to be cheap rentals because they were absolute dives, and now they've been bought out by people and renovated, and now you pay a fortune for rent down there, that sort of thing. So it's a mix of both, but it's a busy place. I mean, I myself would be reluctant to just cross that road without making sure that I was crossing it in a really, really safe spot. So the thought of two little toddlers, 4 and 5 year olds, crossing a busy road, it's mind blowing. So, that kind of makes me a bit more than just a bit pissed off, and I hope that heads roll. I think I'm glad I did play this because it gave me a chance to vent a bit of anger without venting the anger that I'd like to vent right now. Because I would like to see heads roll, but I'm not talking about St Kilda in Australia. Anyway, I can't go on to Parker today. Could be. And I saw one of the comments on one of these posts that I saw read was, oh, don't blame them because, it's probably like one staff member to 11 children. I'm like, well, that would come as some cold comfort for the parents if these children got ran over. I mean, we had an incident here in Bendigo about, 3 or 4 years ago, where a little toddler, I think he was about 18 months old, he got out of the house, got out through the gate, which had been left open, and he got out onto the highway, the main road out on Kangaroo Flat, and got knocked over and killed by a car. So, it happens. If it's a kinder, then they should make sure that they are staffed adequately. And if they can't staff it, they need to actually say to parents, sorry, but we can't open today because we are understaffed. You can't mess around with children's lives like this. I know there's going to be a lot of people here that make a joke of it, because that's what we do in Australia. We make a joke of things. But the timing of it right now is just brings it home how it's, well, that's the thing. When they're saying, well, for the parents who've still got to send their kids there today and tomorrow, I'd be like, F that. I'd be pulling my kids from there and re-enrolling them somewhere else. Because, exactly, Parker is proof of why it is not a laughing matter and why it is absolutely horrendous. It should never, ever, ever happen. But there's no way that, I hope parents chose not to send their children there today. And I hope that they are genuine when they say there's going to be some serious repercussions for this. Because 2 little kids unsupervised down a busy street in St Kilda? No way. No way, no. You know, safety-wise, yeah, sure, they'd probably have very, very low chances of them being snatched by anyone. It'd be more of a thing like that old lady kind of reacting, going, what the heck? You know, who do those kids belong to? But safety as in... And the thing is, when the traffic's so busy and when you've got trams thrown in as well, you're so busy focusing on the other cars and the trams and stuff, you might not even see these kids run out in front of your vehicle until it's too late because of the, you know, the cars parked on the side of the road and everything else. It's just, yeah. They should not have been outside without a teacher. And I mean, even though I'm here saying, well, you know, St Kilda, it's a safe place, yada, yada, yada. These days, most schools, whether it's kinders or schools, still have protocols in terms of, you know, entering and exiting the property. So how are they at the front of the property for starters? How did they get out the gate or through the fence or whatever it is? It's mind-blowing, and it's not good enough. It really isn't. It could have been an utter disaster. Anyway, safety gate wasn't closed properly. Have they said that, or you're just kind of guessing at that? Because that's all I can think of. Safety gates should have a spring on them so that they automatically shut. And they should have signage on them. And the children shouldn't be able to get out the front of that property in the first place. Yeah, that's my assumption too. But when I look at when I look at what they showed us there of that property, like, you're on a busy road in St Kilda. Like, I cannot fathom it at all. Yeah, Fred, it's so sad about Parker. I'm going to discuss it in tomorrow's live stream because I just can't discuss it in today's live stream. Had to really pull it together to go live in the first place because I think we've all been praying for the last 2 weeks. Oh, heck yeah, their guardian angels, certainly. That's also what I'm thinking. I mean, in terms of the fencing there, see if I can run it back just to get a shot of the fence. Is there a better shot? I guess I could imagine little kids squeezing through that fencing. It'd be hard to tell, but I've seen fences like that before, and they're actually not very narrow. But, and this is not meant as a comparison. Please don't misinterpret this. But there's a a dog park that I take the dogs to once in a blue moon. I haven't since Taka got too arthritic to go in the car. But because it's a busy road, it's got a double gate. So you go in through one gate, and then then it's got like a child lock kind of thing on the next gate before you go into the actual dog yard. So surely somewhere like this should have safety precautions like that, so that if one gate is left open, then the kids still can't get out. But you would think that having a kindergarten on a busy road in a busy part of the city, that you would make sure that things were safe. I mean, I look at that sign and I can see that it's attached with cable ties. So apparently they were too stingy to even bother attaching it with bolts, which, says something. That's a problem. These days, so many parents are struggling just to make ends meet with both people working. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, I wasn't trying to do a Logan Mackenzie, but oh yeah, heck yeah. I as a kid, I would have easily. Seriously, someone needs a good slap, in my opinion. And I really hope that they really look through every element of what's going on in that kindergarten. So it says here, Victorian government approved. And that's the thing with here in Victoria. Because you've got, what is it called, 4-year-old kindergarten here, there's a lot of kindergartens all around the place that are basically, they're not government kindergartens. They're not like government schools or anything. They're run by an organisation with funding from the government. They're all over the place. You can drive anywhere around here and see these kindergartens. Yeah, I know. 4-year-old kindy is preschool. Here they call it 4-year-old kindergarten, which, when my niece was little and my sister told me that she was starting 4-year-old kindergarten, I was horrified, because to me, I don't like the idea of kids starting school that early. But, it's the system. What can you do? I mean, it's not compulsory at that age, but it's really pushed. Yeah, just, I cannot understand how these things can happen. Yep, definitely morning time for Parker's parents. I can't imagine how they're feeling. I really can't. And welcome in, Belinda. Now, need to move on to talking about Lily and Jack and about Daniel. it kind of feels, you know, my brain is like still stuck on Parker. But like I said, I can't go there today. I'll talk about Parker tomorrow, but I can't go there today. It's just not a place that I can go to in my mind right now. So, as jarring as it is, actually, before we go on to, let's have a bit of Neil before we go on to Daniel, just to kind of create a bit of separation.
Everybody loves Neil, the seal. Everybody loves Neil, the seal. I called my boss, said, mate, this is real. I'm blocked in the driveway by Neil, the seal. 1,000 kilos, having a snooze, knocking down signs like he's been on the booze, treating Tassie suburbs like they're his own, making love to traffic cones. Neighbors cheer like he's kicked the winning goal. On your Neil as another ballad rolls. He's got 1.4 million TikTok fans. Everybody loves Neil on the sand. Traffic cones are basically his Tinder. Every fence gets swiped right each winter. He's Australia's biggest viral deal. Everybody loves Neil the seal. Everybody loves Neil the seal. Other young seals wrestle mates all day. Neil's got fences standing in the way. His friends live thousands of kilometers south, so he flops on anything like it's his couch. Every pole in Tassie's got a restraining order. The council says Neil back to the water. Telephone box, yeah, that'll do. Poor bloke just wants to call a crew. He doesn't want the fame or flashing lights. He just wants seal mates by his side at night. But instead he's trending everywhere. Hobart's biggest superstar without a care. He's got better approval ratings than the PM. Hobart's unofficial mayor. Everyone backs him. My toxic trait, if he knocked on my fly screen door, I'd unlock it before he hit the floor. If perimenopause was an animal, it'd probably be him. A beautiful blubbery disaster potato with a grin. He needs his own TV show. Netflix, come on, give Neil a go. He's got 1.4 million TikTok fans. Everybody loves Neil on the sand. Traffic cones are basically his Tinder. Every fence gets swiped right each winter. He's Australia's biggest viral deal. Everybody loves Neil the seal. He'd trade every viral reel just to hang with another elephant seal. From the beaches to every pub and meal, everybody loves Neil the seal. Neil, Neil, Neil. Everybody loves Neil the seal. Neil, Neil, Neil. Mayor of Hobart, what a legend. Neil, Neil, Neil. King of the coast, prince of the poles. Everybody loves Neil the seal.
Neil is a 1,000 kilo elephant seal, and he is a juvenile. So he is going to be 3 times that weight. I actually look forward to seeing how big he gets next year. But he's gone viral. He's got a TikTok page which has got like gazillion followers. My TikTok version of that, which I made it sort of like a tall version, has now got over 20,000 views. And I noticed today I have to go through after this and do a couple of copyright claims for people who have basically downloaded my TikTok version of this, put it on YouTube, and are putting it out as their own. But he's he's well loved throughout Australia. He has a massive fan club. He's a character. So yeah, that's Neil the Seal. Yeah, Bonza, you are so right. I do need to sorry, just put comments back up on stage. Yeah, he does weigh a heck of a lot. He does weigh as much as a small car. Yeah, elephant seals are mostly from like around Antarctica. So they've tracked his movements down to Macquarie Island, which is it's a kind of an island between like Tassie and Antarctica, and combines Neil the Seal with Superman Dan. I vote for Neil the Seal. He does head down to Macquarie Island, which is pretty much an island that's just covered in seals. But he was born on a beach somewhere in Tasmania, and he just keeps going back twice a year when he's shedding his skin. I know he could. Next year he could destroy that phone booth. I swear. Tassie gets a lot of seals, a lot of whales and stuff. It's right down in the Southern Ocean, and you do get a lot of seals around the area. But he's been going into like 7 Mile Beach, which is where he was seen, is quite a populated area, only about a 15-minute drive from the city. So it's not common to see seals turn up there. You might see them further down the peninsula, or further down south, but that's a really I think that goes out to the Derwent River, so it's not even like out into the ocean. So it's an unusual spot for him to be, we'll put it that way. I don't know if there's a lot of seals in Bass Strait. I think mostly they're in the southern end. Did I say northern before? I think mostly they're in the southern end of Tasmania, because mostly, they're mostly like around the Antarctic area, Macquarie Island, down Southport area, down bottom of Tassie and stuff. But yeah, gotta love Neil the Seal. I swear he enjoys the attention. I guess, he's become accustomed to being around people, because he's been around people since he was a pup. I didn't see what you said, Teresa. No, you're right. He is about the size of a small car, the weight of a small car. So no, you do know what you're talking about. Bass Strait probably is too rough. You just have to look at how many boats have been lost through Bass Strait. I mean, you look at Sydney to Hobart yacht race every year, and the number of boats that end up having to retire when they hit Bass Strait because of how bad the strait is. So I think maybe possibly too warm as well. I'm not sure, because that's the water in Bass Strait is pretty much coming straight across the globe. There's like, I think, straight from like South Africa or something. You've got the roaring 40s just kind of, coming across. So probably is too rough, I guess. Nope, not even Daniel could lift that seal. He could try. He probably thinks he could. But yeah, he couldn't lift Neil. Oh dear. But Bonzo, I do need to get some of our Aussie ads queued up for when we need a bit of a brain break as well. Yep. Now let's set Neil on Daniel. Yeah, but let's not send Neil to Nova Scotia. We like our Neil here. We'd like to keep him. I'm sure Nova Scotia have their own seals occasionally, perhaps. But we'll keep Neil. Oh dear. Okay, now I'm ready to deal with Daniel. So just again, welcome into everyone. I'm sorry if I've not greeted people this morning. Was a little bit discombobulated. It was not the start to the day that I hoped with the news about Parker. So, and I do have a thing for Parker at the end of the live stream, but I've just nothing here right now. Okay, here we go. Brace yourselves.
We're up within 20 minutes of when Lily had come into the bedroom.
Lily came in twice. Lily came in twice that morning.
Right. Malaya says 8:20. So that's another thing I'm curious about, because Malaya never ever mentioned about her. She only ever mentioned to Belinda, to anyone, to myself, about hearing the kids. She never mentioned about seeing it. And the only time we saw that she saw Lily was in the court document, or in the documents. And
good point, Sonny. Right. Yeah, you get that a bit here too, I think. I know, because usually the seals go where the fishing is good for them, which means that, it's good for the sharks as well. I know we were always told, like, if there's a seal in the water, you don't go in the water. Oh, wow. We get a lot of white sharks over Western Australia way. Have you ever had like great white shark attacks in Canada? I'm guessing probably you do. Oh, classic. In the blue corner, everybody's favorite seal. In the red corner, a douche that thinks he's a big deal. Round one. Oh, dear. Oh, far out. Okay. Yeah, we've had more coming in. Yeah. There seems to have been more shark attacks in the last year or so. We get them, but it's been more frequent. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, Callie. Couldn't have said it better. We don't need people like that in here. Okay, so going back to Malaya, Yeah, that's a good question too, Ernestine. Because if I was going to call my kids in sick, I would want to check on them to see if they are actually sick. And even if it was just that I was going, well, let's let them have a day off because it's nearly the weekend, so rather than send them to school on Friday, I'll give them the day off and let them recover a bit. Wouldn't you still want to get up and check on them if they'd been sick? Welcome in, Princess Pillow. Good to see you in here. Because that, to me, seems to be the normal thing for parents. So, please explain. This is where I keep coming back to. There were choices made by Malaya. We can show understanding of what she went through in terms of her relationship with Daniel. But at the end of the day, she made choices. But why is it that she told the police that morning that she saw them around 8:20, but then everything else we hear, like after that, she's like she heard them? My thoughts are that sorry, I got sidetracked. I was it was too cold here for swimming other than in the middle of summer, basically out in the ocean, but just off track completely. So my thoughts here are that basically there was a narrative that it was agreed upon, and I think people might have got their roles confused in the narrative at first in terms of who was going to say what. Actually, they could. They'd be able to know what device it was sent from. So they have their forensics dudes would be able to tell which device it was sent from. And they downloaded both phones. So after downloading both their phones, even though Malaya deleted that app, they'd still be able to tell which phone that was sent from. So welcome in, Gaspagal. I love the names that people come in with, but it takes me a moment to stop and think. I love this picture too. It is just so cute. Eating there, it looks like they've got a little bit of a treat of mac and cheese, because who doesn't love the occasional mac and cheese meal? Jack looks like he was really getting into it. Oh, that's a place. How did I pronounce it wrong? Gasper? Quebec. Of course, it has to be Quebec. I try very hard with a lot of the French pronunciations, but I do tend to fail dismally. I was working on a video last night where I was talking about the boot prints and the corporal, and his name is like Tichon, and then like Shook or something at the end or something. And I actually ended up having to stop recording and take a break because I got the giggles because I pronounced it all wrong. And then I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I'm like trying to record a video and I kept getting the giggles, which was just really bad. Yeah, craft dinner. It's my lazy go-to sometimes if I want to be really unhealthy. I have a box in the cupboard with the little sachets of Kraft mac and cheese for when I really want to be unhealthy. I prefer homemade mac and cheese, that's for sure. But you can't go past it for a really guilty snack that's really, really good. I always have to add more cheese, though. It's never cheesy enough for me. But, you know, like I said, that's coming from I prefer to make my own mac and cheese because the box stuff tastes so fake, but it's also good for a really naughty treat. Cape Breton and gasp. So is it gaspy? Oh, now I'm getting confused. I'm not going to try. Okay, let's get back to this. And people might need to start putting squirrels in the chat when I get off topic today by the looks of it. I like that. Nice mac and cheese as opposed to good mac and cheese. Well done. Yeah, that's definitely. I agree with that. Not a fan of mac and cheese. I love, my dad used to make a variation of it, which was like a curry one. We used to call it Dad's special sauce. But anyway, totally off traffic. Gordon Bennett. Okay, let's just get on with it.
And then she put it at around 8:20 that Lily had come in the room. But, you know, and I thought it was odd because to me, if a child comes in the room, there's no way the mother isn't kind of going to turn her head or be looking that way perhaps or something.
Okay. Also, too, Sonny, if she said 8:20, right?
Yeah, it's after.
If Malaya said 8:20, and then what did she do? Go to sleep for 8 minutes and then make that phone call?
Right.
I understand like the craziness of this, right? We don't have.
He's reveling in this conversation. Daniel would have been so delighted when the news came out about Malaya making this 8:38 phone call. Oh no, Charlotte keeps getting kicked out by her phone. That was me yesterday after my live stream. I was trying to go in and just edit the final live stream and it just kept booting me. Now, you can see the motivation here so clearly. The focus is off Daniel right now. The focus is on the fact that Malaya tried to make a phone call to Cindy at 8:28 in the morning, even though the claim was that they only discovered the children missing at around 9:40 or something, 20 minutes before they rang dispatch. And the whole notion is that they were in bed all morning. So Daniel loves this because it takes the focus off him and it puts the spotlight on Malaya. So he's all over it. Suddenly, Daniel, who's got no concept of time, any other time, when it relates to Daniel, has the times locked in here. He's normally time blind, but right now, not remotely time blind. So, you know, it shows you exactly what is going on. I know, exactly. It's a trailer. It's presumably not even insulated. The rooms can't be that big. And yet they're oblivious to everything. It's not just about him being oblivious to, Malaya's laying right beside him, but he was absolutely oblivious to the fact of her calling the children in sick or trying to make a phone call at 20 past 8. It's the whole premise, isn't it? Just the whole, we heard them, but we can't hear that sliding door. Just so many holes in their story. But if you're gonna come up with a narrative to explain your missing children, first thing you need to do is make sure that you have separate roles, as opposed to both saying, "Oh, we saw her poke her head in." It's really not believable. And I think the moment we start to unpack all this Friday morning stuff, it really does make it so clear that Lily and Jack were well and truly gone by Friday morning.
An alarm clock in the room. We always used our phones. And
yeah,
the way the bed was set up, we had an end table on each side, and we had chargers going to our phones, and they each sit on the end tables, right? Normal. And so there's no way it could have randomly been dialed, because she keeps her phone on the end table just like I keep mine.
Well, I beg to differ with that too. I don't think she did randomly dial. But if I'm like keeping an eye on something on my phone, then I turn the auto lock function off so that it stays active the whole time. So if you put your phone by your bed and you have the auto lock turned on, it might stay on all night. All it would take would be for you to lean over and just tap the phone in the wrong place. But he's reveling it. He's just going to town with this because it takes the focus off him entirely. Yeah, you would definitely hear the footsteps. The thing is too, show me any mother whose radar isn't focused on their children. Like, maybe you might sleep through the children sliding the door open and heading out. But according to Malaya, they played in the yard for a while. According to Janie, they played in the yard for a while. So even if you slept through that moment of them going through that sliding door and out into the yard, your radar, your whole alarm system would go off if you suddenly became conscious of the fact that your children were outside playing. That's part of the internal thing that happens to mothers. You are wired to protect your children. So there is no way known that even if they slept through that door sliding open, that any mother would not wake up from hearing their children outside playing when they're meant to be inside. So there's no insulation on the inside walls, and the outside insulation is only 2 inches thick. Outside walls are 2x3 framing. Thanks for that. Oh yeah, heck yeah. I mean, when one of my nieces was a baby, when she was a newborn, Originally, my sister and I used to own a house together, and then when her and her now husband got together, you know, while they were looking for their own place, when my niece was born, we were all in the same house. You know, kind of like, you know, early 20s, that happens. Anytime that baby was awake through the night, I was awake. And that was only my niece. It was like my radar just went, yep, Erlen's awake. Every single time. So I do not buy a mother not hearing her children go out of the house. I do not buy a mother whose children who were apparently unwell the day before not actually getting up to check on them when she goes to mark them off from school. And if you are conscious enough to try and be making a phone call at 8:20, then why not get out of bed and make breakfast for your children? Change the baby's diaper. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, heck, I wake up when Taka goes from the bedroom out into the hallway. That's a dog walking from one room to the next, and I wake up because I know that means she needs to go outside. I just cannot comprehend. And you are so spot on, Charlotte. Janie's telling us that all you ever hear is Lily going, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. Your kids are out playing, you don't hear them, or you hear them and you ignore it. It takes me back to a friend of mine years and years and years back. I can remember her telling me about she was having a lie-in one morning because she'd had a really late night, and she was aware of her kids out in the living area, and she heard her youngest saying, hello, who is this? And she shot out of bed straight away because she knew straight away that he'd gotten on the phone and he just randomly dialed someone. You know, this is back when everyone had landlines. So you react. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's because it didn't happen. Yeah, it's convenient, isn't it, that she turned the TV on. But seriously, if you're going to get up and take the baby into bed, the baby didn't want to feed? The baby was awake and she didn't want a feed. She didn't want her nappy changed. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, well, that's it. Everyone knows Friday morning never happened. Thursday afternoon is so vague. The only thing that I could really hold on to as having any sort of substance is Janie talking about coming out of her RV and seeing the children playing in the yard, and Jack, look, I found a worm, I found a centipede. But then even that could be a retelling of something that happened at a different time. Apparently not. No wonder she needed to buy cream for nappy rash when they were in off doing their shopping and stuff. That's the thing, isn't it? Little kids, it's because they are louder when they're up to no good. That's for sure. That's for sure.
So there was no way that was randomly dialed. So if she's seen Lily at 8:20, or heard, or whatever Malaya said, that means she would have been asleep
Well,
for
yeah.
8 minutes and then made a random phone call. I don't understand it. And then we can jump to. I know I jump around a lot. That's a problem I have.
Me too.
But I try to provide. I know, but I try to provide as much detail as I can when I talk, right? Because it's just.
I hate when he says, we can jump to. Like, I'm in control of this. I'm such a hero. I do believe so. There's a few things that make me think that. One of his interviews, I think it was, I can't remember. It was one of his interviews with either Kayla or Angela. It was one of the CBC ladies. And he's talking about something. I think it's in relation to the dogs or something. And he literally does this thing with his hands where he does the shape of a mound with his hands and is so very distinct. I've shown that before. But also, he slips up when he's telling, it could be the same interview, I'm not sure, when he's talking about the human remains detection dogs coming in. And he's trying to throw shade on the dog handlers. So he's focusing on trying to throw shade on the dog handlers as opposed to what he's actually saying, which is the classic time for Daniel to slip up. And he's like saying, oh, the dog handler actually asked me where they should be looking. And he says that he told them they should probably look somewhere like around marshes or around waterways or something where the ground's going to be soft, because that's essentially where you could bury someone. Now, given that the premise when the handlers came in was that the children were missing, there was no suggestion of foul play. For him to tell them that they should search somewhere where the ground was soft because, that's likely to be where you could bury a person. Well, the kids didn't bury themselves. And the RCMP never named it up as criminal, or they hadn't at that point. So the premise of the dogs coming in was that maybe they had wandered off somewhere and hadn't been found and got themselves into a teeny little nook somewhere. So for him to say that certainly got my radar going and certainly made me think these babies are definitely buried somewhere. I hate thinking about it. It's something I try not to think too much on. And I think also that's the reason why they haven't found them yet. But I do believe they're on private land. And here's the thing, I cannot understand why a mother wouldn't want her babies brought home. Why a mother would be happy for her babies to just be just in a random location. Because even if you somehow came to terms with them being deceased, how could you ever come to terms with not being able to lay them to rest properly? That's the biggest thing that I struggle with when it comes to Malaya. You know, I look at the Kristen Smart case. It was 30 years in May since Kristen went missing. And Paul Flores is locked up for life. He's not going anywhere. But Denise and Stan Smart still do everything in their power to try and find Kristen's remains. And they, long before Paul Flores was arrested, they were happy to basically do a deal which would have got him almost no prison time at all if he shared the location of Kristen's remains. You know, Denise and Stan are not getting any younger. And they're now faced with the very real possibility that they may never, ever have the opportunity to put their daughter to rest in this lifetime. And I looked at the video from this year's, they gather every year on Kristen's birthday, and they go to this one place and they sing songs and just do they remember Kristen. And I looked at Denise standing behind a few other people, and you could see how much it has aged her and how much it has just worn on her soul. And I just wonder if Malaya is happy to spend her life like that. If 30 years down the track she's going to be happy if her children haven't been found, if she's going to be happy knowing that they haven't been laid to rest. Because that's the thing that catches me the most with this case. That's the thing that I struggle with the most. I do not understand how a mother can accept that. Anyway, one of those days, isn't it? Let's keep going with Daniel.
If I don't know about something, I can't go into detail, but everything that I did.
Okay, yep, Daniel, we believe you. Oh dear. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll come back to Daniel in a minute. Jordan's been very defensive. I don't know if it's just that he's caught up in it because of Durwood, or if he's aware of stuff, or if he helped, or if maybe the RCMP should be focusing over in that direction as opposed to Gerlock Road. I think Daniel does have faith in friendship. I think that's why Jordan and Chance have got these massive charges against them. Because Jordan is going to go to jail if he is convicted. There's no ifs and buts about it when you look at the charges against him. Now, I don't know what the story is with Chance, where his case is, but he could well be facing jail time as well. But Daniel seems confident in them. Yeah, I do think they're on family land somewhere. Malaya brought that up. You've got all these Martell and Mackenzie properties that have suddenly got private property signs up everywhere. So it certainly... I cannot stop thinking that they are on private land, Mackenzie or Martell land. And I believe that when arrests are made, that it's going to be all concurrent. What you are going to see is RCMP are going to go in, they're going to make arrests at exactly the same time. And as they are going in and making arrests, they're going to be serving warrants on properties. And they're going to be going in on those properties. I know Daniel and Janie seem so confident that the children will never be found. But what they don't realise is that when this case does officially pivot to a criminal investigation, then there's going to be warrants. And those warrants are going to mean that every property connected to Daniel and Janie is going to be searched, in my opinion. And they won't get warning. It'll just be bam. Arrests, warrants, making it move. And given the amount of time they are taking with the case working towards arrests, you can bet they are going to be so thorough. You can bet that when they serve warrants, they're going to have some idea of where they're looking, what they're looking for. They've had, one of the things they mentioned was, Rob McCammon mentioned this in one of his interviews, that they've had LiDAR drones over the area. Their LiDAR drones are going to be way, way better than the LiDAR maps that I've shown here on my channel. They're going to be far more accurate than what I was showing. I mean, mine's not even from like a pro version of that particular site. So I believe that the waterfalls bothers me with Daniel. It really does. She'll know what I mean. Yeah. And him sending her that random video or random photo when he was out searching late one night. I I do think, I don't know, maybe it's blind faith, but from everything I've listened to with especially Rob McCammon, I do think that's what we're going to see. Yeah, that's my question. Where's this half-hour footage that he filmed? It's odd. Let's stick away from that song then, shall we? It is a pretty awesome song. Yeah. I know some people believe that maybe they're actually in the river, but from leakage from Daniel, I believe they're buried. But they are definitely next to water. Yeah, it was. It was a hillside with a rather steep cliff area. Which is interesting, which is very interesting. Especially when you look at the LiDAR maps and stuff. But the references, the diving in, muddying the waters, and more of them lately. And then saying to the dog handler that, you should probably look somewhere where the ground's going to be wet because it's easier to dig into, or whatever it was he said. Gordon Summit, the train watering tank. Oh, can you catch me up on that later via email? Because that's interesting. I haven't really looked much at Gordon Summit, but I have looked at Gordon Summit in terms of there is one spot when you look at the LiDAR around Gordon Summit where you have this, I think I did a video on it, where you have a really high hill and then you have a steep drop of several hundred foot. And all around the base there looks really rugged, and to me, I think Gordon Summit is the area that he sent the video from, just from looking at the LiDAR map. Yeah, now my brain's kicking in. Barney's River keeps coming up, but it is quite a distance away, isn't it? Anyway, I'll keep going with the audio.
That I know and experienced myself, I can give detail on. But
if you go ahead.
If she made the call at 8:28, there would have been no random button dial. Like, she didn't have it on the bed and she randomly dialed it. She was up multiple times that morning, because she would have been up at the 6:17, 6:18. She marked the kids absent.
Yes.
She was up at the 8:28. You just said that she was up at the 8:20. Like, I don't like dive into the stuff that Malaya's seen or experienced that morning, because
And straight away we get him talking about diving into stuff. He's reveling in this. Now, what he's referring to is potentially 2 instances of Malaya getting up. But he has to over-exaggerate and go, she was up multiple times that morning. He's working hard, working this one really, really hard, because this makes Malaya look guilty as F. So for him, this is the one to push. He wants the topic of conversation to stay on this 8:28 phone call as much as possible, because for him, it makes Malaya look bad. Makes Malaya look really bad. Anyway, moving on from that.
I just don't know, right?
But
right? You talked to Malaya. I haven't talked to Malaya since May 3rd.
so my thing with Malaya was that you keep claiming how much you miss the children, and you.
I'm going to pause there too, because I'm not 100% convinced that him and Malaya didn't communicate for some time after May the 3rd. There's some things in the documents that make me question if maybe they still did communicate a bit after Malaya left. I could be wrong, but anyway. He's forgotten that completely. He's forgotten that completely. Doing everything for them. He's the one that got them ready for bed. He's the one that got them ready for school and got them brekkie and all that stuff. And he was teaching Jack how to zip his thing. Yeah. The approaching her on CPS visits, I think that was at a point where she'd basically drawn the line and said enough is enough. I suspect that up until the point when they orchestrated for Malaya to lose custody of the baby, I do think there might have been communication between them. Just looking at these. Oops. Yeah, exactly. Did everything for the kids, but suddenly it's all about staying in bed with the baby. Totally, 100%. They're not good with sticking to their stories, are they?
Want them back and all this stuff. So I messaged her with a kind of like a list of some things, like some questions, because I had to get going to work. So anyways, and then she basically, answered the questions, but then she kind of said, like, I think you have enough information type of thing. And I'm just like, wait a second. You're saying that you want to find out what happened to your children.
That sounds like more like a Cheryl move, that she's just going to, oh, here's enough, I'm going to cut you off.
I think the response was probably a Cheryl response. But it does seem like, Malaya's on board with that. Otherwise, you would think she would take her phone off Cheryl and go, yeah, no, just let me communicate with Sonny. There's 2 sides to that. I cannot understand why you wouldn't want to talk to the whole world if you were a parent with missing children. But also I can understand being cautious in terms of who you talk to if you're sharing like confidential stuff. But again, it's that whole thing of your children are missing. Wouldn't you want to just talk to anyone and everyone? I'm not quite following what you're talking about, Gasper Girl. Just looking at this. Okay, sorry, I'll just keep going. But yeah, the whole Cheryl Malaya thing, yes, I could see Cheryl being the one to respond, but Malaya's still got to be on board with it. Apparently they both woke up first, depending on which interview you listen to. You have, at one point, Malaya saying she didn't think Daniel woke up at all. It's like, choose your own adventure.
You know,
Oh, there's millions of questions you could ask. I mean, it's just.
Well, there is, and
I think she just tried to. I see. That's another thing. I don't know if it was Cheryl that was overseeing it, because Cheryl oversees everything for Malaya.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And also, too, Cheryl was never Malaya's best friend.
Correct.
Before this, it was like she took that role to, I don't know, protect Malaya or oversee Malaya in some kind of way. And I find it odd because she was always friends with Cheryl's sister, Shelby.
Right, I heard. Right.
And
my thoughts on the Malaya Cheryl relationship is that Malaya has this need for someone to rescue her. She hasn't developed the strategies for coping on her own, for dealing with stressful situations on her own. So, you know, she went from, when things were not right with her mother, she moved in with Paddy, and Paddy took over managing Malaya, took over dealing with the decision-making, dealing with the stressful situations, probably also perhaps trying to act as a go-between with Malaya and her mother, who knows. Then from that situation, she would have basically just gone straight onto Cody, and he would have been the person that she expected to be the decision maker, the person to protect her and, you know, do the adulting. And then I don't know whether maybe she was just putting too much pressure on Cody, and maybe that's why things just fell apart for Cody. And my thoughts are, from when we look at Malaya's patterns, that her decision to leave Cody was more about him no longer being able to be the adult in the relationship, no longer being able to do the adulting for Malaya herself. So then she moves on. She meets some other guy that didn't work, moves on to Daniel, and lets him be the person to do the adulting, make the decisions for her. It seems like Malaya is not someone who likes to make her own decisions, her own choices in life, and needs someone to do that for her. And it seems like Cheryl is very much the sort of person that would take control. So it's kind of like Cheryl filled the need for Malaya at the time. Whereas Malaya was feeling a need for Cheryl. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that too well, but it's that it's a convenience thing for both of them. Malaya wouldn't cope with this on her own. She needs people around her to tell her how to cope, what to do, that sort of thing, in my opinion. And that's why her and Cheryl ended up becoming buddies.
It was like I met Cheryl before. Like, I don't have anything bad to say really about Cheryl. I mean, she can say whatever she wants about me. I don't care. But the only thing that she has to say about me is...
I've got to comment on that too. That was very much a backwards compliment. In other words, it really wasn't. He's saying, I don't have anything to say about Cheryl, but, you know, she can say whatever she likes about me. He's basically trying to throw crap on Cheryl. Say, hey, look, I'm the better person. Yeah, that's it. The moral superiority. Cheryl can crap all over me, but, you know, I'm better than that, so I'm not going to crap on Cheryl. I've got nothing bad to say. I think he also realises that if he craps all over Cheryl, she's probably going to let him have it with both barrels. So there's a bit of self-preservation going on as well. He knows when to choose his battles.
What she heard from Malaya. That's what all of these people that have come out and that know Malaya, it's just Malaya tells them these crazy things about me and they just run with it. Like Anita's never met me before.
Malaya's told them these crazy things about me and they just run with it. Malaya, Daniel, you've verified all those things that have been said. He's now trying to... Yes, she'll send him a cease and desist. So true. Seriously, now he's straight up trying to say that all the things we found out about him are simply coming from Malaya and Cheryl. And, you know, they're saying all these things. Now, I have no doubt that if Malaya and Cheryl were speaking publicly, that there's probably things that they would say about Daniel that might not be truthful. And there's probably some of the things that are coming out about Daniel that are over-exaggerated or not truthful coming from that side. We've got both sides playing a game here. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that Daniel himself has verified. Yep. This is the thing that people seem to forget. This crazy scam-nita nutcase comes out and Durwood vouched for her at the beginning. And then as soon as people suddenly realised that she was a scammer, that she was pushing a narrative and making shit up, he does this little shimmy, let's move away from it and pretend we've got no connection with Anita whatsoever. I would like to know what his connection is. Because it just seemed interesting that he was very, very quick to vouch for her at the beginning.
He doesn't know me. But yet she just goes on about all these random things that are just crazy. Like Malaya's a prostitute. Daniel pimped out Malaya. Daniel drugged Malaya. Like what? Like these are all just massive clickbait shit because, you know, I think like Anita's main thing is she seeks validation. There was.
Yep. I mean, he's got Anita nailed. He's so right on this. Anita needs validation. She needs attention. So she comes out with stories that she's originally gleaned from listening to YouTube or reading posts on Facebook. And then when people start believing her because they're like, oh, I do remember hearing something about that, that's when she starts throwing in her own versions. And it escalates to this major insanity of the most ridiculous stories because she got that little bit of credibility from starting with something that was already known and drew people in. And it is massive clickbait. The vodka man has to know how much BS this woman is putting out there. But all of a sudden, he's got himself a regular audience. He's got himself people that are tuning in to listen to her. And he's convincing people because he's telling them, well, I don't need to do a statement analysis here for you guys in front of you because I've done my own statement analysis of this crazy woman in my head. So I can tell you that she's legitimate. All it is he sees the dollar signs. Sadly, the moment Scam Nita came on the scene, Lily and Jack were forgotten. The Lily and Jack that get spoken about on that channel are fictitious. The Malaya that gets spoken about on that channel is fictitious. Oh, he's definitely exploiting her. There's definitely some mental health issues going on. Yeah, justifying her lies with she has good intentions does not fit in at all with statement analysis and statement ethics. They're both making use of each other in a bad way. And it's coming at the cost of Lily and Jack. It's coming at the cost of Cindy, of everybody else that she's made stories up about. Oh my gosh, did he really say that? Wow. If they tell the truth, there wouldn't be anything to talk about. That is so true. Well, and here's the thing. I don't get onto the other channels very often. I try to jump in when I can and support the channels that are genuinely doing this for Lily and Jack, even if it's just me clicking on their content and leaving it running in the background while I'm doing other stuff, just so they're getting the views, so they're getting out there in the algorithm. You know, I'll hop in. Justin's got his 2 different live streams set up like I do, so I'll hop in and I click like on both. And then I'll go and if I'm listening for a while, then I'll just leave it running while I go do other things. The reason I'm getting to that in terms of saying that I don't get a lot of time to watch other content. One of the times recently when I was watching something on Charmaine's channel, and she said something along the lines of that she hadn't been putting as much content out as possible because she kind of felt that she'd said all she could at this point in time with Lily and Jack. Now, on one hand, I was going, wow, I've got a list a mile long of videos that I want to do. And I do have to stop myself occasionally and remind myself that I've got other cases that I do need to do updates on. But that's the approach that it should be. If you're covering a case and you feel that the well's run dry, and that you feel that you're just rehashing things and you're not introducing something new, then by all means, take a break. Go cover other content. Because that's not doing any damage to the case. Come back once a week and do a live stream once a week. But to decide that you're going to put in daily content that is pure fiction, daily content that is malicious, that is hurtful to the families of these children, then that's when you need to really re-examine, because that is not helping the case. It is not helping awareness, because you're not going to see any other content creators come in and start talking about this case now because of the negativity that surrounds it. So these content creators who've decided, let's just come up with BS, let's create drama, let's make up stories, they're the ones that ultimately could bury this case on the internet. And I've said this before. Totally off track there. We were just talking about Scamnita. But I did want to make that point because this whole tragedy pimp BS stuff, people should not be covering cases like this if that's the approach that they're going to take, because they're not helping at all. Well, look at what we've found just from going back to a few different things. Revisiting things, sometimes it's just a case of, my gosh, we'd forgot about this and this is completely different from the current narrative. But, you know, I had a time where I needed to take a little break from Lily and Jack, and it certainly wasn't because I didn't have enough content. It was because I needed to move away from the toxicity. But I made that choice because for me, the goal is justice for Lily and Jack. For me, the goal is to perhaps one day have these babies found and put to rest. You know, I will always cover this case until there's justice. Just like Kylie, just like me coming back to Maddie, because Jen Soto needs to be held accountable. Yeah, that's the problem. It is a double-edged sword. They're keeping their names and faces out there. But at the same time, anyone stumbling onto those channels would really struggle to know what the case was about. Chances are they might not even know that it's about two missing children, because so much of it is focused on putting crap on Cindy or Malaya or making up new stories about who knows what. Honestly, for the most part, the only content that I usually go to now, because there isn't the negativity, is Justin, Michelle After Dark when she's talking about Lily and Jack, and Mike MX. Oh dear, that's hilarious. Oh, Kelly, you're funny. You're so funny. Can you imagine that? Another person who's a legend in their own lunchbox. Yeah, I think there's a few people who I think they watch just in horror. I did watch for a while just because I was gobsmacked at what was being said. But I don't know, about a month ago, I just went, I just can't anymore. I can't with this. It was just sending my stress levels through the roof. But I know that there are people who do still lurk and watch, and they can't help themselves. They just go and watch. But it's certainly not going to bring any new awareness. I don't think it's going to bring any new people in to the case. I don't even watch replays of any of them. Oh yeah, there definitely needs to be a new song. Definitely. Yeah. The aggression's not good. I'm the best. Why? Don't watch anybody else because I'm the best. Yes, I know. I've heard that. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. They watch to find out what the latest BS is, what the latest version of the story is. Sadly, the more encouragement that woman gets, the worse her stories get. Think beer, Ninchi. You're going to have to help me out with this later on, I think. Oh, welcome in, Sarah. I can't see you, but welcome in, Sarah. Yeah, look, he destroyed his credibility as someone who's trying to convince people that he's a statement analyst, to then bring someone in who is so clearly making up a load of BS for attention. You can't have it both ways. Either you put yourself out there as a statement analyst, and that's what you do, or if you want to be a Karama channel, then you do that. Yep. DT backed the wrong horse. He definitely backed the wrong horse and got himself in a position where it was probably easier to exit stage left and go on and cover other cases rather than address the fact that you'd been pushing hard for Daniel's innocence for several months. It seems like that. Running it out of a bar in Bangkok. Yeah. And that just straight away took me to Miss Saigon and that scammer guy in Miss Saigon. I could see Vodka Man being like that. If you're into musical theatre, you might know what I'm talking about. Now, seriously, why would you want to go to a channel when the content creator basically puts his audience down? Because he does so often. It does my head in. I do not understand. It's the same with Greg Hughes. Thanks for coming in, Alana. Good to see you here. Greg Hughes is a classic example of that. He admittedly, he does get on there and he has a Suki Lala because he doesn't know why he's not as big as the other channels. But he abuses his audience. You have these men on YouTube who come across as misogynistic, who have no respect for their audience, and then they wonder why people criticize them. The guy who does Veroscope would have a field day with Danny. Veroscope, that's one of the statement analysis ones, isn't it? I've heard of that. It rings a bell. Oh, heck yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Look, that's the thing, you know, for me, it's always been about the victims. It's always been about the families. And when I'm following a case, I have to protect my mental health. So the last thing I want to do is go and watch content where a content creator is going to tell me as the viewer that I'm a lesser individual than they are. Or that where they're going to go and throw hatred at other people or make up rumors about people connected to the case. I just, it does my head in. Oh, that was so classic, wasn't it? Janie asks Mike, does he believe Anita? And he did not answer. He did not give her an answer. After Anita first came out and things went quiet for about a week, she just kind of vanished. And he came out and it sounded like he was hedging his bets, but it sounded like he was trying to work towards repairing his reputation, because he was making a few comments sort of along the lines of that, you know, he was listening to Anita, but it didn't mean that he necessarily agreed with everything she said or believed everything she said. But then he just threw it out the window. And it's just gone back to he just backs her 100%. Yeah. There's a few of them. He's done that. That's something that Greg Hughes does a lot too. Greg Hughes tells his listeners that they're stupid. If they don't agree with him and they pose a different opinion, he tells them they're stupid. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why do people stay listening to this guy? I listened to his content early on when Kelsey and Mike and with the Delphi case, with Libby's family members had been on talking to Greg Hughes quite a bit, and I was listening at the times when they were on his channel listening. But it was painful, really painful. And we're seeing the same thing from these other male content creators at the moment. Oh, I know. I don't want you bringing your muddy feet in my house. If you watch other channels, you're not welcome here. The problem is the people who continue to support these channels when they act like this are encouraging them. I have never, ever seen someone as cruel as Greg Hughes. The way he treats his subscribers is unreal. Absolutely unreal. It is. Totally. He's like a cult leader. Now, yes, I believe Greg Hughes probably does have autism. But you can have autism and you can still learn. You can still have people point out your behaviours and learn from it. Truth revealed. That rings a bell. Haven't seen him. There are some really good statement analysts on YouTube, like real ones, not like me who's just doing it, I don't have that professional background. I don't always agree with all of them, but there are definitely some good ones out there who really come up with some solid stuff. That's for sure. I do really want to dig in and do some serious statement analysis with Jen. Because I think back when I was covering the case before he was convicted, a lot of it was more, focused on justice for Maddie. And I really didn't take the time to slow down and do really, really thorough analysis of Jen Soto. And I know when I do live streams that I don't go as deep. So I would like to do that. And that's the thing. I make it very clear that I'm not a statement analyst. I'm a content creator. And sometimes it comes down to me doing my version of statement analysis, but I'm not a statement analyst. Seems my brain is switching off. I will. What was he called again? Truth revealed. Sorry, I've just got to make a note. Because I do like, I like the behaviour panel, but they don't always get it right. This is going to be controversial, but I'm not overly in love with the detection detective. He seems to me to be focusing a lot on selling his merchandise these days. Yeah, I've got, I'm not sure what birds that was. It wasn't the, I don't know where the rosellas are, but I've got birds that come into the tree outside my window all the time. When I can cope with having the blind on that side open and it's not too cold, I like to have it open because usually I get birds keeping me company while I'm streaming or recording. No, not a kookaburra. You'd know it if it was a kookaburra. I will have to do a kookaburra video tomorrow so you can hear what a kookaburra sounds like. Veriscope and I Don't Belong Here. I don't know that one either. This is good. I'm going to jot that down as well. Okay. The dogs are awake. Amira's on the move. So that's my cue to wrap it up. I do, like I said, have a different outro today because I only had a short space of time, but I did do a short tribute for Parker, which I didn't want to play at the beginning of the live stream because I wouldn't have been able to go live. So I'm going to use that as my outro. Thanks for coming in. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. Yeah. If you're now my brain's just fried, just trying to read things. And thank you, Belinda. So appreciate you coming in here and supporting my channel. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Please hit the like. If you're listening on replay, please leave a comment. And please stick around for this outro for Parker. So thanks, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Parker, little Parker, headphones on, eyes down low. You kept your safe small circle where the kindest shadows grow. You didn't owe the world your words, you just needed room to breathe. And the whole town said your name aloud like a prayer beneath the trees. Over 1,000 hearts went out through every road and gate. From Calgary to far away, we waited, hoped, and prayed. Prayers for Parker, prayers for Parker. Let mercy hold you now. Parker, for your family somehow. Police cars sang the Disney tune soft through the darkened night. Aladdin dreams and shining songs sent on the search for light. People watched from kitchen tables, from porches, screens, and pews. Hands held tight in every country, sharing all they could lose. 2 long weeks of searching every tunnel, field, and street. Still love kept walking onward with worn-out, hopeful feet. Let mercy hold you now. Prayers for Parker, prayers for Parker, for your family somehow. And to every soul who looked for him, your kindness will not break. Prayers for Parker, prayers for Parker. Let mercy hold you now. Prayers for Parker, prayers for Parker, for your family somehow. Prayers for Parker, prayers for Parker. May peace be all around.